I was gonna go out and do this filming, and then I was like, nah, I'll just do it in my room, but then it actually was a nice day. So here I am sitting in the yard. So what happened this week? I came back from Washington, turned right around, and went down to Baltimore. We had a very successful event at Fenwick Street Used Books and Music. The town there, Leonardtown, does a First Fridays event where the first Friday of every month, the whole town comes out and celebrates, and it was actually really, like, the town was hopping. I had some difficulty in getting there because there are a lot of instructions. It's like a 28-step instruction list printed out from Google. I was concerned because I did this even when I had a smartphone back in December, and it was difficult even then. And literally, I got to within 1 mile of the place, and I freaked out because I did my math wrong, because Google tells you, oh yeah, go 28 miles on the MD4. And so I go 28 miles, and then I go 30 miles, and then I go 35 miles, and then I'm like, this is wrong, and I gotta be here in an hour, and I don't have time to go 10 miles out of my way and then backtrack. So I did backtrack a little bit. I went to a Wawa. I walked into the store and I asked for directions. So that was an interesting experience. And then I freaked out even more, and I called my dad. I was like, Dad, I think I'm lost. So then he kind of talked me off the ledge. But it was ironic because I literally, and I'll show you guys a screenshot actually, I'll edit this in. The MD4 turns into the MD5. I got to the intersection right before the MD5. And that's the moment I turned around and went back to the Wawa. And if I'd literally just gone 10 seconds further, I would have gotten there without having to physically ask directions in a store from strangers and call my dad crying. I wasn't crying, by the way, for the record, but I was distressed because that upset me, because up until now I've had a perfect offline navigation track record. But what can you do? After the event, I drove home in the dark 2 hours, no problemo. And I drove home from Baltimore to New York in the rain Sunday morning, and basically, I had my printed out instructions, but basically by the time I reached the Delaware Memorial Bridge, I just discarded them because I was like, hey, you know what? I'm on the NJ Turnpike. I know the way from here, and even if I don't, I'll make it up. Because guess what? New York City is the center of the known universe, and there are signs for it all the way down. You're gonna have signs this way to New York, so you can't get lost. Had to relocate because the kids are coming out. We live right next to a school and they're all out there screaming. But anyway, an interesting experience this morning because I've been doing this vlog and I've been looking at my face a lot recently. I've noticed that my teeth are busted. So I went through a couple years where I didn't have insurance, and during that time, all 4 of my wisdom teeth came in. So I worked through 4 separate, very painful, by the way, infections, but they pushed all of my teeth out of alignment. So now my teeth are a little... I see this ad for you get free stuff if you come in for a free scan, and so I was like, sick, no doubt. So I went in for this free, fix your smile scan. The people were very nice. They were very considerate, very helpful, but they wanted me to sign in on a tablet because that's how things are done these days. So I was like, so I sat there and I was like, I'm not prepared for this either. I gotta have an elevator pitch now. I gotta have a 10-second quick spiel of hey, I can't do this because X, Y, and Z. But I got really anxious and I was like, oh no, I can't do this. It goes against my religion. But in the end, I explained to them, I was like, I'm actually participating in a competition where I cannot interact with any smartphones, tablets, handheld scrolling devices. And they were actually, they were super understanding, and they were like, okay, no worries, we'll do it on our end and you don't have to do anything. I avoided doing the tablets there. So that was, it was an up and down week. How did I feel? I felt bad. I'm a writer, I know words, I use words real good. I felt bad about not being able to reach my destination. If I'd done the math right, I would have reached it. But if I had just, trusted my instincts and kept going a little bit further on the MD4, I would have had it no problem. But as it was, I had to backtrack, and then I was late, and that was an upsetting experience. But then I had this experience today, and while it was anxiety-inducing, it was also I'm doing a really good job of no smartphone and tablet use. I am actually running into more and more instances where I agree a smartphone would be useful in this situation. But as I've told people, and everybody's like, well, are you gonna go back at the end of the year? And I'm still very much decided that I am not going back at the end of the year to smartphone use, because the pros of being without it outweigh the cons. The cons, these are all obstacles I can overcome. Even though I got lost on the MD4, which, by the way, I wasn't lost because I was on the right road, and if I'd gone 30 more seconds, I would have reached my destination. Even though I got lost, I figured my way out of it without a smartphone. I asked for directions. Oh, the horror. But I did it. It was inconvenient this morning, but I stuck to my guns and I made do without it, and maybe it was a little bit more awkward than it needed to be, but I did it. The world is increasingly geared toward the expectation that everyone has and or uses a smartphone, but you can make do without it. That's an adventure, and I'm all about the adventures. Stay tuned for next week when there's gonna be some sick, nasty, crazy adventures. By the time this gets posted, next Friday is our launch party at the Union Square Barnes & Noble for Dragon Child, Book 2 of the Shadow War Saga, which I wrote. You are invited. You will get a free goodie bag filled with lots of cool fantasy dragon-related things, and I think it's gonna be a good time, so I hope to see you there. Thank you for watching. Until next time, stay off those phones. This can't be right. How could I have come this far, gotten this far, and now it up? How is this possible?